how to make money as a private lender using a debt fund. And a lot of you might be asking, like, why private lending? Gosh, you know, we're multifamily people. We're interested in multifamily, but why private lending and why a debt fund? Well, we have learned just through some discussion with PassiveInvesting.com and Dan Handford and Danny Randazzo, that there's multiple legs to their business, right? And so I'm having a problem with my screen, so hang tight for me. And let's see if I can, we're just going to roll with it like this. All right. So I want everybody to know that there's 5 legs to their business. And we always kind of, let's talk about what we're doing, and hopefully that we can, you can maybe mimic, copy, model, whatever you want to say, some things that PassiveInvesting.com is doing and that you could apply to your business as well. But there's 5 legs to their business, right? You got the multifamily, obviously. They started multifamily in 2018. And then we have storage and car wash and hotel as a leg of their business. But we also have a lending leg of PassiveInvesting.com. And I'm a partner inside that lending leg. And again, why lending? You know, Danny Randazzo and myself, we're good friends. We live in the same area, St. Charleston, South Carolina. And we kind of just were talking one day on a walk, and kind of came together and figured out that PassiveInvesting.com are amazing capital raisers. And I have lending experience. And so I felt like this could be something that we could apply to the PassiveInvesting.com team and to my team. So it's worked out great. We started in 2020, in June of 2020. And we've done a little over 200 million in loans so far in those 3 years, and have raised over $100 million in a debt fund in order to have this lending leg of their business, right? And so a little bit about me. I obviously I'm the managing partner of Rehab Wallet. We're going to talk about the difference between Rehab Wallet, the name Rehab Wallet, and the fund's name. But I've had 2 decades of lending experience. And during that time, when I've been a lender, I've also been a flipper for 18 years. So when we opened Rehab Wallet, it was literally opened through the lens of a flipper. And that's what we do. We do short-term bridge debt. That's typically our niche. And the flipping experience, I feel like that I bring to the table has really helped create some loan programs, some things that flippers really, really want, right? We want short-term debt that we can get in, get out of, low documentation. We've decided not to pull credit, but because credit to me doesn't matter. What matters is that the experience of the borrower and the deal. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the partners at Rehab Wallet, go to rehabwallet.com, and all 3 partners are there in depth of what we've done in the past and the experience that we have. So the pillars of lending, and we're not getting into lending specifically today because I've done other webinars about lending, and we do some intensive 2-day training about the specifics of lending. But I think this is important that we talk about the pillars and what holds up the lending arm of the business. First and foremost, you got to go raise the capital, right? And you can raise capital multiple different ways, or you can get capital multiple different ways. We choose to raise it inside a debt fund. You could use lines of credit. You could use institutional money. You could use your own personal money. And before Danny, and myself opened Rehab Wallet, that's what I did. I was using some personal money for a long time, and did just private lending, right? Now I would say that we're more of a hard money lender, but you could use your private capital to do this in between multifamily deals, or anytime you might have some money sitting. But after you raise the money, we have to go originate a loan to put the money into, right? So that department is called origination. So origination, how to get deals, you could go to real estate investment groups. They're called RIAs, REIAs, real estate investment associations. They're all over the country in every probably city that you're in. That's a good way to find your borrowers. The other ways is social media, obviously, and just letting people know what you do. Then once you have a deal, you've raised the capital, you have the deal, now you got to process the loan, right? And that's where that detail person is very, very, very important. You have to, the loan documents have to be provided. If you're in a deed of trust state, it's a deed of trust. If it's in a mortgage state, it's a mortgage, a promissory note, and all the other loan documents. Actually, our loan documents are about 59 pages. So that person is putting together all the loan docs, is retrieving the insurance to ensure we got proper insurance on the property. The articles of organization to make sure who is signing is actually a member of the entity, because we do all the loans in an entity name. Then once we've closed the loan, you got to collect the payments, and that is the servicing department. And then what happens if people don't make payments? You got to have the compliance side to be able to collect if there's any insufficient funds or people don't make their payment, or insurance is canceled or revoked for any given reason, right? So to me, these are the 5 pillars of lending. And we're going to jump more into the raising of the capital and talking about the debt fund specifically today and how to make money as a lender. So what is a debt fund? You know, a debt fund can be used multiple ways. We decided that our debt instrument inside our debt fund is lending. It could be trading stocks. It could be trading crypto. It could be anything that your investors are interested in. But our debt instrument is lending. So all these parameters that I'm going to tell you today is just an example of what Rehab Wallet does. Now, Rehab Wallet is the branding arm or the face of our company. The fund is called PIC, P-I-C Fund 1. And that stands for Passive Investing Club Fund. But the Rehab Wallet is the catchy, the branding names that you need to be out with your swag and different things on. PIC Fund is a little of a, it's a boring, stale name, obviously. But all of our loan docs are in the fund's name, but our branding is called Rehab Wallet. All right, so our debt fund, and let me preface this, is that you can make this anything that you want to do inside your PPM. So we decided that we want to pay up to $100,000, 6%, and we pay 8% if it's anything over 100K. All right. Then we decided that we want to pay monthly distributions, monthly instead of quarterly. We thought that was just a good niche, right? Our investors like that. It kind of fits in that bucket for them as short-term money, right? Another feature that we have is compounding. If you don't collect your monthly payments or get your distributions on a monthly basis, you can keep your money inside the fund and it'll compound. Another feature that we have is a 90-day liquidity option. So if life happens, if our investors needs their $100,000 out, they can send an email and we'll get their money back to them within 90 days. That's what our PPM says. We try to do this in less than 90 days. I don't know if you've ever waited 90 days to get somebody back their money. And lastly, the 3 general partners are investors in this fund. Why not, right? It's paying 8% on investors' money. It's paying us as well. And it's just a great place to park, whether it is emergency fund, whether it is a place that you could place your some of your multifamily money in, waiting for the end of the year to pay taxes. all those different places you can actually park it's a place you can park your money in and get it out when needed. All right. Now let's talk about the fun part. This is where lenders make money. It's a few places that lenders can make money. You make money on your rate, you make money on your fees, and you make money on your length of your loan. Now let me explain the length of the loan and how you can make money there. We offer a 6-month and a 9-month loan, and probably 80% of our borrowers take us up on the 6-month loan. Our 6-month loan rate is a little bit less expensive than our 9-month loan. But if you have a 6-month loan, remember, this is short-term bridge debt. If you have a 6-month loan, you can use the same $100,000 twice in a year to make fees. If you have a 1-year loan, you're going to make rate, because your interest rate is APR, or annually. But your fees, you obviously can only make that one time a year. But if you can get borrowers that are okay with this very short-term bridge or transactional debt, you can turn that money twice in a year and make a little money. But these are the 3 places where lenders make money. Now let's go over an example of how to make money, the specifics of how it's made. Right? A lot of people have asked me, like, how do you come up with the business plan? Because really raising capital inside a debt fund and then lending it out, the delta in between those 2 numbers is really the business plan. So you're really arbitraging capital. That's what lending is. So these are completely examples. This is not exact numbers by any means, but I wanted to throw out some examples of how you can make money as a lender. If you're charging 14%, and some of you might say, goodness, that's high. Not really. If you are lending out hard money, private money, bridge debt, transactional debt, that's not expensive. It's very it's a normal rate that people are charging, somewhere between 12 and 15 or 16%. And it's interest-only payments. So let's go through an example real quick. If you can make 14% annually, and you can charge a 2% origination fee and a 1% lender fee. Now, I have this highlighted for a reason, because this is in general terms, because if you have our average loan amount is approximately $200,000 at Rehab Wallet. And our lender fee is approximately $2,000. So that's 1%. But if your average loan amount is $500,000, this might not be 1%. But this is good for example reasons here. So those numbers obviously equal 17%. Now let's take the 17% and drop it to the bottom, the next line. Now we got to subtract out the investor distributions, and we got to subtract out our expenses, employees, office space, paper, copies, computers, everything that happens inside a business, insurance, everything. I've highlighted that because this is an approximate number of 3%. It's not ours. It's not exact numbers. I'm just giving you a number. It might if you run your business with heavy payroll, it might be 4%. It might be 5%. If you run it lean, it might be 2%. But we got to take those expenses out as well, and we're netting net 6% on the total amount of money you have in your fund. So if you can go out and get $2 million, raise $2 million in a debt fund, or use institutional money at $2 million, or you have $2 million of your own personal money, or a line of credit for $2 million, and you arbitrage that capital, and you make 6%, you can make $120,000 net. This is approximate numbers on your $2 million inside your debt fund. Obviously, if you can raise and get a larger fund, you can make more money. But this is how money is made inside a debt fund. Now, I'm saying a debt fund, but you also can use multiple different things. Rehab Wallet has just chosen to use a debt fund, and we lend out of that. But this is how you make your money. This is the business plan. Now, there's a lot of things that go on inside this 3% expenses here. A lot, right? You run it as you would any other brick and mortar business or any other business at all. You're going to run that as lean as possible, but at the same time, you have to have the right people in the right seats, and it's just running a business. All right, I'm gonna jump to the chat box and see what kind of questions we have, and we'll go from there. So, what is the servicing fee? Servicing fee. Okay, all right. So we're going back to the pillars of lending. We don't charge. We do servicing in-house. That's a great question, because a lot of lenders, or some lenders, choose a third party to do their servicing. We kept that in-house because for a lot of reasons. And, you know, again, controlling those expenses that we just went over, but the servicing piece of it, I haven't even done a lot of research on it. I've heard it's really cheap for somebody to service, a third party to service your deals. But again, we haven't changed that. We've kept that in-house. We keep everything in-house, from accounting all the way up to servicing. There's third parties that actually do processing as well. So there's people you can actually just hire that will process the loans, so you don't have to keep that in-house. We chose to really scale this business early on, and we wanted to keep everything in-house as much as possible, especially at the beginning. Any other questions regarding using a debt fund and how to make money as a lender? I'll jump back to the chat box and see if anything else comes up in a second. But I wanted to finish with this. We have a private lending intensive training in Columbia, South Carolina, in September the 18th and 19th. This is a 2-day intensive about these 5 pillars of lending. It goes into depth on how to raise capital. Dan speaks. Our director of investor relation, Rob Gallo, he speaks. So you'll have Dan Handford and Rob there to be able to give us some guidance, and everybody some guidance on raising capital. We go into depth and sending over some spreadsheets, and our checklist, our processing checklist, if I had to say, is worth every penny just coming for those 2 days. We've spent diligent hours getting our processing checklist where it can be as productive and so that we don't miss one thing on the processing side. So we'll be giving our processing checklist for that. But that private intensive, and you can go to multifamilyinvestornation.com/private-lending-intensive and learn a little bit more about that, and get the fees and so forth, and just actually commit to come in if you want to. Okay, so we think it sits about 30 people, and it's next week, so we're excited for it to be around the corner. All right, we got another question coming in. No, that's our team here just putting the drop down for the private lending intensive. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. If you need us for anything at Rehab Wallet, you can always find us at rehabwallet.com and hit the contact button there, and actually to get us, and that'll come directly to my inbox. And if we can answer any other questions, we'll be more than glad to do so. But thank you guys for your business, or not really for your business, but for your time. And we'll see you next week. Thank you.